News that's coming in from Delhi, and former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram has taunted the government over the 5% GDP figures. Former Finance Minister Chidambaram, when asked about his custody by members of the press, replied, "GDP is 5%.
Sir, you want to say anything? You have been 15 days now. Somebody want to say
5%.
What 5%?
What is 5%?
GDP.
You remember 5%? So that's the context. What is this 5%?
So we'll play that out a couple of times, but before we do that, let me get in Sahil Murli Meghani, who was our correspondent, who was actually speaking to Chidambaram as he was coming out of court there. Sahil, we've seen Chidambaram's behaviour with the media throughout this case. When he enters a court, he says "Vanakkam," he's been flashing thumbs-up signs, and this is just the latest. It's a direct attack on the government.
Well, he hasn't been disappointing us reporters for sure when we asked him for any response. We did get 2 thumbs-ups last 2 times when we tried to elicit a reaction, elicit a response from him on the extension of his custody. And this time, well, he was perhaps ready with an answer. And the moment we asked him, the moment reporters asked him about the extension of his CBI custody by 2 days, he said 5%, to which the reporter there asked, what is 5%? He said, don't you know what is 5%? The reporter replied, GDP. He said, yes, remember that. So, of course, that was a dig at the fall in the GDP, considering the fact that he himself was the former finance minister. So, clearly, P. Chidambaram taking a dig at the government, saying that we should be, in a way, giving out that message that we should be talking about the economy and not my custody.
Sahil, we are going to just quickly play out that little interaction once again before we come back to you.
Sir, you want to say anything? You have been 15 days now. Somebody want to say
5%.
What 5%?
What is 5%?
GDP.
You remember 5%? So that's the context. What is this 5%?
Sir, you want to say anything? You have been 15 days now. Somebody want to say
5%.
What 5%?
What is 5%?
GDP.
You remember 5%?
So Chidambaram there talking to reporters outside the court where his custody case is on. Maria Shakil's also on the phone line with us. Maria, I have to hand it to Chidambaram. He's been milking every possible opportunity, to make a statement of sorts. This one extremely pointed, 5% GDP.
Absolutely. And look, he is the former finance minister. Let's not forget that. Somebody who has been taking on the government through his across the aisle weekly column in Indian Express, has been tweeting aggressively on the economy as well over the last few weeks till he went to the jail. So certainly, I mean, this was an opportunity that when the reporters asked him and he came back, hitting at the government, essentially questioning as to how did the, GDP numbers arrive at 5%, and that's the official number that has been released by the government. But certainly, Mr. P. Chidambaram, who is now under the CBI custody, being questioned for the INX media and particularly his role as the then finance minister and what went into clearing the FIPP approvals, certainly has much to explain as far as the investigations are concerned. That is the reason why his custody that was given to the CBI has also been extended now, Shalini, till 5th. But certainly, as far as the political pointing or the political messaging is concerned, Mr. P. Chidambaram essentially hinting at again and trying to send a message that it's the government that has much to explain as to how did the GDP numbers fall so drastically and is now standing at 5%.
All right, Maria Shakil, thanks very much for that perspective. So taking digs at the government over the 5% GDP figures, how much will that help?